Hi there, it's Jared, and welcome to this game. This game was played at the 2017 Doeberl Cup, which took place over the Easter break. This was round one. I was playing in the major section. My rating for this tournament at the time was 1742. I had the black pieces against Kamal Jain, who has the white pieces. His rating, if I just take a look at my game sheet, was 1549. My opponent opened up with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, knight c3. I should mention at this point I've actually played this opponent one other time, and we faced each other in the ANU Open. I also had black, and in that game my opponent played bishop to c4. But rather here in this game he chose knight to c3, and I played knight to f6. And he played a slightly odd move. He played pawn up to a3, which doesn't really help white's position at all. More normal moves would be pawn to d4 and bishop c4 or bishop c5, bishop b5. Both of these moves are okay for white. But he played pawn to a3. And it's important to, when you're facing a move that you haven't seen before, it's important to ask yourself, what is the main move in this position? And once you answer that question, then you ask, why is this the main move? What is the purpose of this move? Does this move try to prevent the other side from playing a certain move, or from playing a certain idea? So in these types of positions, black wants to play pawn to d5 if he can play pawn to d5. If he can do that, it means that black has absolutely no problems, and so that's why the main moves in this position are moves like d4 and bishop c4, which actively try to keep black from playing pawn to d5. So since white played pawn to a3, I just played pawn up to d5. So white captures. I played knight takes. And here again, he makes a bad move. He played knight takes d5, which helps me to get my pieces out. So rather than taking on d5, white should probably play the move bishop to b5, which actually leads into a line of the Scotch four knights, where white's a tempo down. Black is basically playing the white pieces, but white has wasted time with this move pawn to a3. So the main line here would be takes, takes, and bishop to d6. And we have a line of the Scotch four knights where white has wasted this move with pawn to a3. But after knight takes d5, okay, I just take back with the queen. This of course is just good for black now. And white really needs to take care of the black's idea of playing pawn to e4, which would be very bad for white. But sadly, white chose not to take care of this and just played the move pawn to b3. And after e4, black is just basically winning already, because the white knight needs to head back to g1, and white's in really bad shape. My opponent played bishop to c4 to attack my queen. This was his idea, to play bishop c4 and maybe bishop b2 and have some nice bishops, but it's not good. After I play queen to f5, he has to play knight to g1. If he plays the move knight to h4, then I have queen to f6, which hits both the knight on h4 and the rook on a1. He plays queen to e2, which is also a bad move. He should probably just move the knight back to g1 immediately, but now after bishop to e7, he's forced to move the knight back anyway, so it's not clear why he played this move, because he needs to move the knight back to g1 regardless. He played knight to g1, and now this piece just gets hit with knight to d4, queen back to d1, and pawn to e3, which opens up this attack on all of white's pieces, and white's just completely losing. He took on e3, which is basically forced. Knight c2 check, and I'm up a whole rook now. Knight f3, and I spent some time on this next move because I need to make sure that white doesn't have any serious counterplay. I played queen c2 after some thought because I really need to make sure that bishop takes f7 isn't working for white. I was actually planning on playing just the move king to f8, but the engine just wants to take this piece and just says that this is just nothing for white. I was really concerned about this type of stuff with queen coming out, but the engine just plays king e6 and says this is nothing, which is just crazy to me. It's like check, take the knight, and basically white can give some checks, but black's just going to run back. He's just going to run his king back and is just up heaps of material. So this is just not working for white. So my opponent played queen to e1, and now I just take on b3, which hits both of these bishops at the same time. My opponent played knight to e5. Now I can actually take on c1 here, but I thought, why not just castle? There's no reason to give him a single thing. Let's just castle, which forces him now, because these two pieces are hanging, because I might play, for example, pawn to f6. I say that, but I just notice, of course, that this bishop is hanging and this bishop has no moves. So that actually just forces him to take on b3. And he played king to g1 because I had the threat of queen b5 check, picking up the knight on e5. Rook d8 with the obvious idea, rook d1 to win the queen. Bishop d2, and if you like to pause the video, try and find the best move for black. It's not particularly difficult, but it's a nice little tactic to end the game. Okay, I played the move rook takes bishop. If you take the rook, there's queen b1 check, and white gets mated on the back rank. So after rook takes bishop, my opponent resigned. I hope you enjoyed that game. I'll be back soon with round 2 from the Doeberl Cup 2017 tournament. Until then, take care.